Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL here again. Um, so I'm going to be doing my Game Week 2 FPL tips here. And starting out, I do have my Game Weeks 1 through 4 fixtures difficulty. I decided to keep Game Week 1 in there just as a way to see what actually took place last weekend. And just to kind of rank it. I also stopped at Game Week 4 because after Game Week 4 is where we have our first international break. So yeah, we get to have season interrupted already after only 4 weeks. Lovely. So starting out here, as you can see, Liverpool is at the top here. I kind of developed this just as a good way for me to see where kind of like a good ranking of the fixtures for myself, as well as a way to see what teams to kind of stack, and even look ahead. Looking ahead, then I also have my the FPL fixtures planner just to kind of look ahead here and see what are some of the games coming up, even a few after the winter or the international break, and then I will work at updating that as the season goes on. I'll probably try to kind of do the fixtures difficulty, kind of like 4 game weeks at a time, just as a way to look ahead and see what's coming up. So starting out with that, I'm also going to take a look this week at some of the top picks to look at coming up for this weekend, and maybe even looking ahead to next weekend as well. The primary thing here is I'm going to avoid really I'll hit on some of the top scorers from last week, but want to look at a few of the more differential picks, or some of the players that will stand out in more of a long-term situation. Taking a look at some of the fixtures and even some of the underlying statistics. I know we only have 1 week to go on, but we've got to go on something. So take a look at that and see what are some of the more sustainable things that we can look at moving forward. So with that said, I'm going to jump in, starting out with the goalkeepers. And it's easy enough to go in, take a look at total score, sort by score, clean sheets, saves, any of those sorts of things. If you do sort by saves, you can see who came out with the top saves here. And I'm actually targeting Hennessy as who I think would be the best. So I guess I should say the other thing, I want to take a look at some like going from the upper end all the way down to the lower end as far as prices go. Pick 2 or 3 for each position here. So starting out, I'm going to go with a 4.5 Hennessy is the one that I'm targeting. If you look at their fixtures, Crystal Palace is right here in the middle, and even against teams like Liverpool, I think he'll be good value because of his ability. 6 saves in the first weekend there. That's pretty good. 2.1% ownership. Again, it's a pretty nice differential pick, especially you have a lot of people here with Fabianski, Ederson, De Gea up there really high. If you want to go with more of the higher end pick, the one that I would say to go with, if you want, if I can find him here, Chelsea's Kepa. At 5.5, he's on the higher end, but it's not quite as high as De Gea. And I feel like you could go with Ederson, but as far as a differential pick goes, 3.7% ownership. And I do feel like Chelsea is going to pick up a lot of clean sheets, and he's definitely going to be up there in the running alongside Ederson and De Gea as far as clean sheets and saves go. So those are the 2 picks that I have for goalkeeper. The 4.5 is Hennessy, 5.5 is Kepa. All right, sort back here. All right, we're going to move on to defense. The top player that I would say to target for defense is Tarkowski from Burnley. Really, any of Burnley's defenders would be good. But some of the underlying statistics to look at for Tarkowski, he, right now, 1 match, he won 10 aerial duels, ended up with 15 clearances and 4 blocked shots in that 1 match. So he is definitely somebody who I think I definitely think that he is able to sustain that in the long run. 9.7% ownership is pretty high. And for myself, I've gone with me. So I think really any of those Burnley defenders are good to go with, but I think the Tarkowski is one that I'm targeting there simply because of some of those underlying statistics that he has going on for him. One of the other ones that I'm targeting is Olabus. At 4.6, it's a good price there. Actually jumped up because he did have such a good game week. But the main reason to target him is because of his attacking wing back play that he has. As you can see, 2 assists here, plus picked up the clean sheet. The yellow card is really what kept him from scoring even higher points there, but also picked up the 2 bonus points in the match. The 2 main underlying statistics here are having the 5 key passes in the match as well as 5 crosses. So he's definitely going to be in the mix as far as getting assists, getting in there, being a real attacking threat for them. So moving on, the last defender who I'm putting out there, other than Wan-Bissaka, I already have him. I think most people already know about him. 21% ownership here. I feel like he should be a lot higher, especially because of his price there. But another 4.5%, 4.5 million defender is Jeffrey Schlupp. And I think the real big things with Schlupp is that he's been playing much farther forward, and that's going to, similar to Holebas, he's going to be picking up a lot more attacking points. And if they can keep up, Crystal Palace here in the middle here, if they can keep up with their attacking and really push forward, I can see him getting more goals, more assists as the season goes on. So he's another one that I do feel like he is a sustainable player. All right, so moving on to the midfield. Everybody can see Mane is up there at the top. Good reason for that, his 2 goals. The one issue that I've always had with Mane is he's been inconsistent. Last season he would come and go, and I definitely think he's going to be up there as far as point scoring goes for the season, but at 9.6, that's a kind of a big risk to be taking on somebody who could disappear for a few matches at a time. So a couple of them that I would target instead, Pereira is definitely a good shout. Watford started out well, better than I thought they would, but here you can see them. I have them ranked, see if I can count one. 8th here as far as difficulty goes. Good run of fixtures. Burnley away, the main reason for that being so difficult is because of Burnley's defense. But Pereira is the kind of player that could go out there and unlock a defense like that. He did manage 4 shots in their first match, so he's somebody that could be a goal threat, as well as his ability to create for other players. Then, of course, we do have Neves, who is 4th as scoring goes for midfielders. At 5.1, so I should have said Pereira is at 6.1. At 5.1, that's kind of like, that's that nice middle tier. I thought about bringing him in, but I'll actually get to my team here at the end. And so Neves at 5.1 had a really nice outing, picked up a goal, had 3 shots in that game, had an assist. Seems to be that he is the one that's going to be on free kicks, so he's going to have more chances to score. Picked up a key pass, a dribble, a cross, and as well as the 2 bonus points for Wolverhampton. People already jumping on him at 22.1% ownership. Now, the issue is Wolverhampton, is their play really going to be that sustainable? Yes, they did well against Everton, but that was also against an Everton team that ended up going down to 10 men and did rely on Neves with his fantastic free kick there. So questions about whether it's sustainable or not. I think for myself, will probably hold off on him for a little bit, but if I can make room for him, I probably will bring him in. The last one here is not listed here, so we're going to go to Chelsea, and I'm picking Willian here at 7.5. That's a pretty good price point, depending on what else you're playing around with. But I think he's definitely going to increase. He picked up 6 points in the first match. It was really good for the assist and the clean sheet. Did not get any bonus points for it, but there's some really nice underlying statistics with him, as far as having 3 key passes. He did have a shot, ended up with 2 dribbles and 3 crosses. So he's going to be up there as one of the creators for this team. Even being able to get in a shot here and there, you never know when he's going to score one. So I actually am targeting him as a player that I will probably put on my wish list moving forward. Then we move on to forwards, and forwards get a little bit tricky. I already have Wilson in my team, and I would say that Wilson is the better pick over Josh King, because, well, you could see Wilson was on the penalties despite missing it, and he seemed to be farther forward than King was in that match. I think he's going to be the bigger attacking threat there. If you're looking at higher price range, I think Vardy. This is one area where I do feel like the rankings here are pretty indicative of their play going forward. Jamie Vardy has proven that he can score goals. Leicester City, they have a much easier couple matches here. Even looking farther down the road, it gets much easier after the international break. And he's the type of player, he scored against Manchester United. You never know when he's going to be able to score against Liverpool as well. So he's a dangerous player. At 9, it's that kind of weird price point where you're not really sure what you're going to get from that. But if you can fit him in there, I would definitely advocate for that, even this weekend facing off against... even coming up, facing against Liverpool. Definitely this weekend against Wolverhampton. So yeah, those are kind of my short picks going across the various positions. So moving on to my team. As you can see, I've got 2 guys in the red here. De Bruyne. Now I don't get paid anything for this, but I do use Premier Injuries. I feel like Ben Dinnery does a great job there. I'm always going to shout him out just because I feel like I like the layout here. I like what he does as far as everything being updated. Follow him on Twitter. Has great updates there. So the biggest injury for this week is Kevin De Bruyne, out for about 3 months. So I'm definitely going to have to drop him, and hopefully drop him before he drops any more in price. I picked him up at 10, so I've already lost that 0.1. Gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. My plan had been to avoid making any transfers this week so that I could have my 2 free transfers next weekend going into game week 3, where I was planning to pull in a couple Arsenal players for that game week. As you can see, looking ahead, Arsenal's fixtures definitely pick up at game week 3. So that was a team that I was going to be targeting. So instead, really going to have to do some thinking here, because it does mean that if I would move for somebody like Willian, it's going to leave me with extra money in the bank that I don't really want to have sitting around. So I'm actually really considering going for Mane. It wasn't really my plan, but you can see looking down ahead, Liverpool definitely has one of the best sets of fixtures coming up. Tottenham away is about their toughest one in the first 7 game weeks, and even that, knowing the way that Liverpool plays, sure, they might give up some goals, but as far as a forward midfielder goes, I don't really care about that. I'm looking more for whether or not they're going to score goals or create goals. So as long as he's scoring goals, then I don't really care what happens on the other end of the pitch. Now, with that said, I do have Robertson in my team, so would still like to have a clean sheet for Liverpool in a match like that. So, I have my free transfer. I still have time, so might as well. Yeah, you know what? I better hold off on that. Wait until I really think about it. Yeah, because really some of the other options out there, I don't necessarily like them. It might be a good time to drop in Willian in there. Like I said, I don't know if I really want that extra. That works out to be 1.9, 1.8 million left over in the bank. So again, I think I'll just think on that and maybe post my team later on. Anyway, I think that wraps it up here. You can check out the Game Week 1 through 4 fixtures difficulty post over at PremierFPL.com. I'll try to put a link of that here down below, as well as a link for the fixtures planner down